Welcome to Bass U Live. Today, I am your host, Pete Gluzak. That's not me. You know me. I'm Riz, Rich Leadbeater. Anyway, it's going to be another great Bass University Live. Pete is going to join us later on in the second half of today's show. He's going to come on with his son, Jake, and his partner, Max, and they're going to be breaking down their recent tournament win that's going to propel them to the high school national championship. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're also going to be talking to a Bass University instructor and a soon-to-be Bass University instructor, Jay Przekurat and Alex Redwine. They're travel partners out on the Bassmaster Elite Series, both coming off of a top 10 down there at Wheeler Lake. So it's going to be fun to talk to them. But anyway, we are live from Tackle Direct Studios, and we have a few different things going on here at Bass University. Just want to get them across the table to you real quick. Frog Days of Summer is going on right now, guys. You can get signed up for Bass University for a full year, and you're going to get hooked up with some awesome Spro frogs. It's a great time of year to be hucking a frog. And, we also have a really cool thing going on right now with Fish Vault. And, Justin, what exactly is going on with Fish Vault other than people being able to get some amazing baits that tie directly into Bass University seminars?
Yeah, well, you pretty much broke it down there, Rich. I mean, we Fish Vault and Bass U teamed up. We're doing the Bass U box powered by Fish Vault. And essentially what it is, man, every month we're grabbing some seminars from the Bass U library that go for, how the fishing is, what's going on around the U.S. in that time period, and you're getting the baits from those exact seminars. Like, we got a Jason Christie power fishing seminar. You're going to get the Booyah covert spinner bait.
Cool.
We got a Swindle offshore fishing seminar. You're getting the ball and out jig. You get the gist. That's a deal with Fish Vault. And if you're a Bass U member, you get 10% off your first box if you head over to the Bass U member benefits. And we'll throw that link in the chat for you, and you can check it out. It's a pretty cool monthly subscription box. You get
very cool.
You get the tackle that the pros are using, the pros are teaching about.
Very, very, very cool stuff right there. As always, guys, we're going to be giving some stuff away on today's show. We're going to do a grand prize trivia question, and we're going to do a like and share prize as well. So if you're watching over there on the socials, don't forget to like and share the feed. We appreciate all your support. It helps us, and we thank you for being viewers of the show. Jocelyn, what are we giving away to our awesome subscribers and our friends on social?
For our like and share winner, you will get a Crush City, what are they called?
Ned BLT.
And a hummingbird hat. And then for our grand prize, you're getting our Spro Frogs Days of Summer package.
Nice. Spro Frog Days of Summer package. That is good stuff right there. Guys, we have some new stuff coming out this week at Bass University. We're releasing 3 new pieces of content every single week, so be sure you stay tuned as to what's going on. If you're not signed up for the newsletters, get signed up. That's how you're going to know exactly what releases are coming down the pipe. But we are putting out tomorrow, on Thursday, Hunter Shryock, a frogging seminar is going to be the classroom release for this week. He did an amazing job with us down there in Alabama, breaking down his system to throw a frog. If you watched the Elite Series event last week, there was some frog fishing going on. Our man John Cox was hucking around a frog, catching giants, laughing, giggling. But anyway, Hunter Shryock is going to be breaking down how to throw a frog for you, so stay tuned on that. That's going to be coming right down the pipe. Guys, if you haven't checked out AquaView, check out AquaView underwater cameras. They are amazing pieces of technology that confirm what you're looking at under the water. There's no mystery. There's no guessing. Pair that up with your Humminbird electronics, and you can really start to do some amazing thing. Learn about your body of water really, 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 really quick. And our friends over at Cash and Rods, they're always building great American-made rods. So check out Cash and Rods, Tackle Direct for all your tackle needs, and Rapala Crush City. These are some awesome baits. And speaking of Rapala Crush City, there was some Rapala fantasy fishing going on this past week. Justin, how did the team do? I'm no longer in the conversation. my track record with fantasy football, fantasy fishing is the same. I forget to set a lineup. So, but you're still in it, and I think you're doing pretty good. How did it go?
Beating Pete or not?
I'm still beating Pete by.
You're beating Pete's meat. Okay.
Yep. By around 20, only 20 points. So it's pretty close. Me and Pete are going at it here.
Okay.
You know, me and Pete got a little wager going on for this, but it's pretty much just me and the Dean in the race here. And my team last week didn't do great, but it was enough to hold Dean off my back for that one. But
so it wasn't a bomb.
No, it wasn't a bomb, but it wasn't anything crazy. We rolled with Tyler Williams. He made the cut. He finished 47th. I ran with BP. He placed 17th. This is the one that killed me, and I'm very disappointed. I went with Stephen Kennedy, and he placed 99th. And then other than Steve Kennedy, everybody else made the cut. I rolled with Seth, Ripping Darts, and old Bob Downey. And he got 40th. Seth got 21st. So Stephen Kennedy let me down, but still keeps me in the lead over the Dean. So we're rocking and rolling, and we're Pile Fantasy Fishing.
Who did Pete have?
Let's see if I can even check that. Please hold.
While you're checking that, one last shout out before we keep this train rolling forward is Anglers Coffee. That's a pretty new partnership for us here at Bass University. We're fishermen. Most of us drink coffee. And if you don't, I don't understand why you don't drink coffee. I can't wrap my head around that ever. But most fishermen, we drink coffee. And there is some amazing coffee from Anglers Coffee. We were drinking largemouth bass head coffee last week at the Potomac and smallmouth coffee at the Potomac and all over the place. So check it out. Anglers Coffee. It's really good stuff. Did you pull Pete's lineup? What we got?
Well, I can tell you. I'll let you guess. Who was his Group A angler pick?
Same as yours, probably.
Kyle.
No. Kyle Patrick, man. He rolls with Kyle.
Roll with Kyle. Okay.
So Kyle placed 70th.
Okay.
Then he went with Justin Atkins, who top 30. Logan Parks, who was in the top 10.
Yeah.
He went with Kenta.
That was a sneaky good call by Pete there.
Yeah,
Logan Parks. He must have did a little research.
Yeah. And then he went with Kenta, who just missed the cut. And then he went with Scott Canterbury, who was inside the top 50. So Pete had a solid event too. We both just missed on one there, but should have went with J-Dog and the Redwine, but
gotcha.
We'll learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, learn from your mistakes. Always pick J-Dog. That's the moral of the story there. But I think we're ready to hit this commercial. And guys, when we go to this commercial, this is an opportunity for you. If you're not signed up as a Bass University member, you can get over and get signed up, and you can interact and chat with us on the message board while we are live. You can get your questions into our guest, and it's also how you have a chance to win that grand prize, prize pack every week while we're on the show. So take a few minutes while we're on this commercial break. If you're not signed up and you want to jump in, dip your toes in, come join the program. I know you're going to love it, but let's get to this and get it rolling with Jay and Alex.
Welcome to Minnow King. How can I help you?
Everything looks good. I'm friggin' starving, man. Been spawning all morning.
Ugh, TMI, bro. What do you want?
I'll take a Crush City freeloader and gizzard shad.
Anything to drink.
Water.
Pull ahead, please. Welcome to Minnow King.
We're gonna have what he's had. Yeah, throw me in a Ned BLT, too.
Pull ahead, please.
Calm down. Quit feeding him so much.
Hey, man, I'm trying to, man.
If you overfeed him, he's gonna hide under a log.
Right here, Aquaview, mandatory equipment in my boat. I say it all the time. The smallmouths hide in the cracks in the rocks, and just saw a little bit of the same kind of rock with the cracks in it, and I realized that I had to put a bait down there. You wouldn't, idle over them and see them on your screen. You had to put a bait down there and suck them out of the rock. So, Aquaview, big assist on this one.
And outdoors Bassmaster Classic champion, Jeff.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina. From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming Series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water, not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together, the One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Welcome back to Bass University Live. We're getting ready to dive in here with a couple. I would call them, some couple of the young guns out on the Elite Series, and it's Jay and Alex Redwine, J Dog and Redwine. So let's get into it with it, guys. Jay, Alex, how we doing?
Oh, we're hanging in there. I made her home to Wisconsin, a quick 12-hour trip. And Alex, where are you headed?
I'm actually going through Atlanta. So right after the event I spent yesterday on Gunnersville, and right now I got to go to Southern Georgia. I'm doing kind of like a youth development fishing camp down in Southern Georgia on the plantation or like some private managed pond. So it should be fun.
Very cool. Tell me more about that, Alex. What are you going down there to do? Are you going down there to like kind of coach kids along? Who's putting it on? What's going on with that?
Yeah, so this is the first year for it. It's at a place called the Live Oaks Plantation. I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen like those shows. I think it was called like Pond Wars, like Real Tree Pond Wars or something.
Sure.
So it's at that same place. But it's myself, another angler, Jonathan Kelly, and then Justin Atkins. And then I think there's a total of 9 high school aged kids. And we're just going to spend 4 days with them and hopefully teach them a thing or two and hopefully catch some big bass on these supposedly really juice hole ponds, managed ponds. So
that's awesome stuff. Well, what lake was fishing better, Gunnersville or Wheeler?
I'd say Gunnersville. I'd say. Yeah.
Man, it just Gunnersville seems to be. It always has, right? It's always gotten so much hype, but it seems like here lately in the last few years, like, is it really just going off the charts? Like it's that good, or what's going on down there?
Like I'm not super familiar with Gunnersville. I've been there maybe a half a dozen times in my life, but it's got to be the grass. I mean, that's like the one lake on the TVA where the grass is just exploding, and
Right.
that place gets tons of pressure every day, every weekend, and it's still holding out very well.
Right.
Is there a lot of grass floating on the surface?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of eel grass floating around. And
yeah,
Gotcha. Well, you guys are both coming off of a top 10 performances down there at Wheeler Lake, and it from an outsider's perspective looking in, it kind of had to feel like it was going to be one of those kind of grimy grinder style tournaments where it's hot and just it really kind of hard to get it going, but you guys were able to both finish in the top 10, which is spectacular. Share with me a little bit how it went down. Like how did the process for you guys begin from practice to finding your fish and during the tournament, and just share a little bit with me about that.
Well, I guess I'll start with my side of things as far as practice went. Practice for me was pretty much a bust. Me and Alex actually found one school of fish offshore. After the first day of practice, we both come back, we're like, all right, what'd you find? How many schools did you find? Blah, blah, blah. Because we try and put our 2 schools together to essentially have, 3 or 4 by the end of the day. And we both come back and, Alex pulls out his map. He's like, I found one school. He found one school. We're like, all right, where's your school at? He's looking on the map. And he points it out. And I'm like, you're joking, right? He's like, no, it's kind of sneaky, like right here. I'm like, really? And then we look closer. I'm like, it's the exact same school I found like 2 hours earlier. So I was like, that was not a good start to the practice. Us both finding the same school, because we're like, well, how many other of these guys, found the exact same school that we found? So that's kind of how practice started for us. So other than that, one school we both found, it was just like scratch and claw for pretty much every single bite we could find, whether it was trying.
Yeah. What was that school relating to? Like what was it? Was it grass fish? Was it offshore? Was it ledge? What do we got?
No, that was a true like Tennessee River ledge group of fish that definitely moved around. Come to find out, but that was actually the school I ultimately started the tournament on and never caught them off of. So place never worked out for us. But anyways, practice goes on. I mean, Alex can attest to it. I mean, he had one area that he ended up finding a few, and you can talk about that. But other than that, I was just trying to find like isolated fish on stumps, some way to get a bite during the tournament that I felt like I could go back to the first or the second day of the event and at least catch that 10 to 13 pounds was kind of my game plan.
Right.
Other than starting on that school and hopefully popping a couple good ones right away, some active fish, which ultimately didn't happen for me. But yeah, Alex, we can talk about your practice.
Yeah, my practice was right there with it too. I mean, it felt like in the first 2 hours of the first day of practice, the whole Decatur Flats got idled, graphed, fished, and everything. Like every nook and cranny was already found by middle of the day on day one of practice. But I ended up kind of finding a little deal where I felt comfortable like getting kind of numbers of bites. Like I didn't know the exact size. It was kind of away from the Decatur Flats. It was probably 5 or 6 miles farther down the lake, and it was just kind of a subtle hump that I just felt like had hard bottom compared to everything else around. And I'm not sure if there was like the remnants of like a shad spawn still there or gizzard shad spawn. I'm not exactly sure. But I was able to, I think the first day I started there and spent like probably 2 or 3 hours there. And I think I caught like 20 or 30 keepers, but I left there with like a 12 and a half pounds the first day. But it was something enough but 12 pounds, like that's middle of the pack. That's what ended up making the cut.
Sure.
And so I was super happy with that. And then the first day later on in the day, I made an upgrade on a different school, not the one that me and Jay found, a school that evidently I ended up sharing with Jonathan Kelly, Alex Weatherall, and Logan Parks, all other guys that ended up making the top 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I felt like that happened a lot this week was people found the same fish. There was no doubt. I mean, I feel like a school probably got cycled through, a dozen or more times in a day. I mean, it was pretty, the lake was pretty beat up. The lake fish pretty small with exception for the guys in the top 3. They kind of had something to their self. It was kind of just a needle in the haystack kind of deal. But, ultimately going forward, what we ended up finding later on, which we'll talk about here on day number 2, a place that I found, it was pretty crazy and it was going down. And we can dive into that right away if you want. But
before we jump so far ahead to that, I got a couple questions for you. The first one I want to know is, you guys both found the same school on day one, and you assumed that, okay, we both found it, more guys are going to find it. Why was that school so easy to find? Or if it was easy to find, why was it so easy to find? And like, what are the characteristics of that? Like, what were you looking for? Was it mapping? Was it, on your graph? Like, how did you find it? And why do you think you were both able to find it so easily?
Yeah.
Or is it just because you spent so much time together that you're thinking on the same,
No, what it was, that where that school was kind of placed at that time, it was maybe like maybe a quarter mile, maybe a little bit less from something on the map that looked kind of obvious. It was where an old creek channel ran into the main river, but it wasn't close enough to like for someone to graph. Like you kind of had to put in work.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna graph where the creek channel comes into the main channel just because that's an obvious spot where they could school up, but it was maybe a good quarter mile away from there. And like you look at the contours of where that school was, and it wasn't anything that stood out. So if like someone put in the time and graphed a little bit extra than the obvious stuff, that's where it kind of was.
So what were you doing? Side imaging, going down the edge of the river bar, or what?
Yeah, for me, they were on side image. The top of the bar or top of the ledge maybe was 9-10 feet, and then it dropped off. The main river was 20-30 feet or whatever. But they're sitting in that like 11 to 14 kind of zone, right on kind of the top of the break. But there wasn't they weren't really related to grass. At least what I've kind of saw is there might have been some grass on top of it, but they were mostly just on the clean bottom. Maybe there's a few stumps around.
Sure. So walk me through that. Walk me through what that looks like. Okay, so you identify an area on your map where an old creek channel comes in, and you know that has potential to hold fish. Okay, you start your process of idling, graphing, doing whatever, and I'm assuming at that point it's okay. I've located some fish on my side imaging. I can see them dotted up, or however you find them on your electronics. Do you spin back on those fish and fish on them? Do you cast on them? Do you try to see them with the forward facing sonar to identify that they're bass? Because like there's a lot of stuff that swims out there, right? Do you come back and fish on them to check size? What happens next?
So you can go, Jay.
Well, when we both found that school, so I ultimately found it first during the day, which we didn't know at the time because we didn't know we found the same school. So I actually found it first. It was like 11 o'clock. I idle past it. I'm like, okay, I'm almost 100% sure those are bass. I mean, they just looked perfect, perfect separation. There was like 20 of them there. So I kept going down the river channel, whatever. Like 20 minutes later, I came back when there was nobody around. Obviously, you don't want a lot of your other competitors around when you pull up on a school because guys know what's going on. I mean, they're not dumb out there. Anyways, drop down on the school. I just wanted to check to see what kind of response they would make if I threw a big crankbait in there, if I threw a big worm in there, if they'd come up off the bottom or do anything like that. So I threw a big 6XD in there. And first cast, the thing hardly even made it down to the bottom, and one had it down to its crushers. So at that point, I knew they were pretty, antsy and ready to eat. But they were also pulling a lot of current that day, and that was during practice, and the wind was blowing a little bit. Just a lot of the right things were happening that day, and I knew a lot was going to change come the tournament. And come the tournament, it was the complete opposite. I mean, fish were scattered, not in the mood. You couldn't even, hardly get one to eat a crankbait. Completely different.
Right. Now, do you think that was a current thing, or was that a pressure thing over the course of, 3 days of practice? Or
I think it was 100% a current thing.
Okay.
Because come to find out, a lot of people actually didn't fish that school in the tournament. Maybe like 3 or 4 boats. But it never got pounded like a lot of the other bigger schools did. Yeah, it was just a little bit different than everywhere else, but I think the fish just ended up moving with no current, and they just got scattered out and just hard to catch.
Sure, the conveyor belt got turned off. Yeah, but so yeah, can continue on with your practice. Did you guys find any more after that? Did you kind of have to go into the tournament knowing you had a bad practice and you got to keep practicing during the day?
No, I didn't. We did find, so we ran down lake and we found what we thought were 3 more schools of bass, which still to this day, I think they were bass. Alex can kind of attest to it, but they were bass that had a bachelor's degree from Harvard University, like times 4. They wouldn't even move off the bottom. Like, you'd see them on your live scope, and like you could tell they were obviously fish. Like, it wasn't hard structure. It wasn't like a rock or something like that. They'd be separation from the bottom. I have a couple of pictures on my phone I wish I could probably show it on here, but of what the schools looked like. But yeah, Alex, you can talk a little bit more about that.
Text it to that group that we started this morning, Jay, and Justin can bring it up on the screen. But yeah, go ahead, Alex. Were you able to confirm or deny these were carp or bass?
They were most definitely bass. It was like he said, farther down the lake, and down the lake farther, there's just not as, if you look on a map of Wheeler Lake and you go closer towards the lower end, towards the dam, there's just not a lot of contours that like looked appealing to like graph or idle or check out. But there was like this one little couple mile section where it was just a little bit flatter. There was like a few points that came out, and So Jay and I we happened to find ourselves in that area at the same time, and we were like, okay, this is kind of a big area. Like, let's just break this down. Let's just graph every square inch. And I think I found like one pot of them, and I was fishing them like nothing. And then Jay comes up, and I'm like, Jay, like I think these are like bass. And so he's like, let me idle them. And he idles them. He's like, yeah, like they're set up perfectly. He's like, you haven't caught any yet? And I'm like, no, I'm trying really hard to. And then he works around and finds kind of one or two other little things that set up just the same. And I don't know if it was just to us, we thought it was like maybe borderline sneaky, but I guess to everyone that lives around Wheeler Lake, they must be the most community schools on the lake because.
So did you catch any out of the schools?
Negative.
No, we can't confirm or deny.
We can't confirm they were bass, but I'm almost 100% sure they were bass.
Actually, you guys need to have an aqua view. You got to drop that aqua view down and look at them, man.
Pretty much.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. But so things obviously, from what sounds like, you had a pretty rough practice, but kind of practices always seem to be rough regardless.
Yeah,
it's kind of always that way. But anyway, you turned it into a good tournament. How the frick did you take finding one school of fish that you both found on the first day in a 2-hour window to both cracking a top 10?
All right. So I'll break down my first day of the tournament, and then Alex can break down his.
All right.
So start out, I run to that school we both found because Alex had his other limit spot that he was pretty confident he could catch a few fish on. So I run to my fish, get there, graph a little bit, see a few around, get a bite on a Carolina rig, set the hook, 13 or 14 incher, small keeper. So I was like, all right, good start to the day, got a keeper. It was hard to catch a keeper in this tournament. There's the school that we were just talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's there's plenty of fish. I mean, that's anyways. So fast forward, catch that one. Hour later goes by, nothing. Start making my way down the lake. Had a couple more places I thought I could get bit, some stumps, some isolated structure, pitching a drop shot. Ultimately catch 2 more keepers. So now I'm at 3 keepers. Now we're talking small, 12, 13 inches, no head turners or anything. And it's like 11 o'clock now. I got 3 keepers. Run back up the lake. I had one fry garter that I marked in practice. Ended up catching that one. It was like a 14 incher. So at this point I have 4 keepers. So I'm like, all right, I got 4. It's like noon. I'm like, I'm going to run back to my place I started on. Maybe they're schooled up now or they're pulling some current or something different has changed. Pull up to the place I started on. Now I'm doing it at 2 o'clock. So the day's going pretty quick and I got 4 for like 7 pounds and not looking good. Pull up to that place. Seeing a few fish, nothing crazy going around. Pull out a 6XD, catch a decent fish. It was like a 3.5 pounder. My biggest fish of the day. It was good. I had around 9 or 10 pounds at that time, but I was convinced I was coming in with 9 or 10 pounds at like 145 because I didn't get a bite from noon to 145 after I caught that 3.5. And at this point, I find myself on another area that I graphed in practice, thought it had potential. You're 15 minutes till you have to come in to weigh in. So you're kind of just, convinced you're coming in with what you're coming in with. I was just going down a river ledge at the time, and I looked down on my live scope, and I'm kind of looking out at this point. There's this little hard spot that comes up on this little, channel swing kind of deal. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, those really look like bass. And, given at the time, I got like 15 minutes. And I got a 6XD in my hand, and I'm like, screw it. I whip it out there. 6XD gets down to the bottom. As soon as it gets down to the bottom, I double over. And I'm like, this has got to be a catfish or a drum or, whatever it is out there. Get it halfway to the boat. Thing comes up and jumps. It's a 3-pounder. I swing it into the boat, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. Like, I got to, figure out which one's my smallest. I got to get back in there. I got 6 minutes because granted I'm still 6 miles away from takeoff.
Right.
So finally get the fish unhooked. It had it all over the place, just crushed it. finally get, set back up on the spot, take the next cast. 6XD gets about 3/4 of the way down to the bottom, doesn't even hit bottom, and I'm bowed up again. Another 3-pounder. Wow. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is just unbelievable. Swing that one in, finally get it off, get the other one called, set up on it again, take my third cast. Bait doesn't even make it down to the bottom again. I'm doubled over again. Got another, 2.5, 2 3/4. Flop that one into the boat. Finally get it off, cull again. Mind you, the wind's blowing a little bit, so I forgot the spot lock. Kind of get pushed off the spot, and I look at the clock, and it's like 1:53, and I'm 6 miles away from the takeoff. And I'm like starting to do the math. By the time I pull the troller, get the rod in, I still got 2 13-inchers in the well. But I'm like, I got to go. Like, there's no way I'm not going to be able to make it if I hit a couple barge wakes or something.
Right.
So I had to go. I made it in by like 45 seconds.
Nice.
So, I mean, that was pretty much my day one. It was just a joke of a day pretty much up until the last 10 minutes when I caught my 3 best fish and came in with 13.5 pounds.
Well, I mean, that's why you always got to make that one last stop, right?
Exactly.
Like,
you never know when it's going to happen, and it happened that day.
I'm telling you what, man, that's awesome. All right, so Alex, how did it go down for you? Let's hear your day. Let's hear your first day.
First day, so I started on that spot that little small hump, subtle hump that I thought had a lot of potential, and I think I had a limit in the first hour, kind of a small limit, like 10-ish pounds. But I stayed there for a good while. I probably stayed there for I'd say 2.5 hours, I kept catching lots of fish. So
you were off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, I ended up getting up to probably 12.5, maybe 13 pounds there. And I stayed there for a good while, and I think I caught in total maybe 25 fish there. So I thought for sure that there's plenty of fish here, there to last a couple of days. And I knew that 12.5, 13 pounds was should be right around the cut line, maybe a little above the cut line. So I left there. I stayed there for, like I said, 3 hours or so. And there I was mostly just throwing an oversized square bill, like Berkeley makes. I think it's square bull. It's like an oversized square bill because it was in that 6-7 foot range. So it wasn't deep enough for a 10 or 12 foot diving crankbait. So that's why I threw that, as well as dragging a worm around. But I left there and I had another school that I thought was a little sneaky. It wasn't the same school Jay and I found. Funny story of how I actually found this school. It was another creek channel. It wasn't on the main river, but there was this kind of long, windy creek channel. And I didn't graph it or anything. I was just fishing down the creek channel. The bottom of the creek channel was 14, 15 feet, and the top was maybe 7, 8 feet. And I was just fishing down it. There was stumps around, there was bait around. And I'm throwing a crankbait. I'm even every once in a while picking up a spoon, and I'm just working down the edge. And it was that time in practice where I was just pretty desperate. So I was casting at anything that swims on the live scope, pretty much.
Hey, there's something to be said for that, man. You get into desperation mode. It's like, I better just catch something.
Not on the Tennessee River though. I don't know, man. That was something else.
And I'm just working down the edge, and I see another what looked like a trash fish or just another blob on there. And I think on that one, I threw a spoon, just a random 6 or 7 inch spoon on it, the middle of the day, hot as can be. And it shows some interest, and I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, I haven't had a bite in hours. Like, whoa! It ends up biting the bait. And as I'm reeling this fish in, I'm seeing on the live scope, there's 4 or 5 more with it. I'm like, whoa! Are these all bass? So I keep fishing. I keep fishing on the break. I drop a waypoint, and then I go somewhere else. A couple hours later, I'm gonna side scan that where I caught that fish, and I looked, and on the side scan it looked like I only saw maybe 6 or 7 other fish. So I marked it or whatever. So that brings me back to day one. Day one, I started on my spot and had 12.5 something pounds, and I was like, I'm gonna go check out that school. I pull up to that school, and I instantly catch 2 and make 1 upgrade. And as I'm doing that, John Garrett comes up. Me and him have talked in the past. We're cool. I didn't care that he came up. And I was just like, oh, I've already been here for 20 minutes. Like I've caught 2 or whatever. He's like, yeah, like I started here this morning. And I was like, oh, really? Like you found this? He's like, yeah. And I was like, what do you got? And at the time, I think day one, he ended up with like 19 pounds. But at the time, he told me like 17 or 18 pounds. And I was like, damn. And he's like, you caught him here this morning? And so evidently there was more than like 5 or 6 fish there that I thought. So he fished, and then so he started fishing, and then he caught like a 4-pounder, and I'm sitting there, and I caught like 2 2-pounders, and I'm like, oh no, whatever. But I'm happy. At this point, I got 13.5 pounds, and then after that, I just kind of mosey on around and just try to find new water. I was fishing. I ended up going back closer to takeoff, fishing the bank for a little bit, fishing some barge tie-ups, but ended up with like 13.5 pounds. After day one, I think me and Jay were actually 1 spot apart. We were somewhere in the 30s. We were somewhere in the 30s, and yeah, so that finished up that day, and then should we start on day 2 yet?
Yeah, let's get into day 2. But that's amazing, man. That you took the approach of, and you found that school in practice, right? When you were kind of struggling and the wheels were coming off, and you just decided it's time to start throwing at everything that you see, and it worked. There's definitely something to be said for that. It's that's really cool stuff. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into day 2. So you're both sitting in the 30s, right? You're sitting 30, 31, something like that, real close to each other. Are you guys coming home at the end of your tournament day and breaking your whole day down together? Like, are you okay? So what's the team's approach going into the next day, and ultimately how did it unfold?
Yeah, I mean, we shared everything that happened. Obviously, I was excited to get back on the place that I couldn't take another cast on because I had to come into weigh-in.
Right.
So I was disappointed about that, but yet excited to get back out for day number 2. But at the same time, Alex told me what happened on his day 1, and I was like, hey, is it all right if I don't catch anything on that place I found? Because I literally had nothing else. Like, that was the only thing I found the entire day. I was like, hey, is it okay if I come and fish that hump with you? And at least try and catch my limit if I don't end up catching anything off that place where I, caught him at the end there. He's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, just come down there and set up on it, and hopefully you catch a couple keepers or whatever. And then we can kind of go from there throughout the day. So hopefully, we both get into the cut. So fast forward, I start on my school. Couldn't ever really find them, or I don't know if they just weren't set up, or I just wasn't looking at it right, or the right angle. It was a really unique spot. Like, it had to be super specific on how you were set up on it to see the fish. And I think early in the morning, I just never really figured it out. And I ended up catching 1 fish there. It was like a 2 1/4 pounder. And I sat there for like an hour. And after an hour, I was like, all right, I need to go check on Alex. And he said he caught like 20 keepers the day before. So I'm like, hopefully I can pull up there and catch a couple keepers. So I come down there, and then Alex, you can talk about how your morning went on that spot.
Yeah. So like I said, after day 1, we were in 30 something place. I had 13 something pounds. So in my head, I was like, okay, I need to get close to 12 pounds to make the cut. Like that's goal number 1. So that's why I told Jay to come down there, and we've been open about all of our spots and practice and stuff. And so I was like, hey, like if it doesn't work out, come down there. Like hopefully things will be going on again like they were on day 1. So I go down there. It was like a little bit slower. I think in total I only ended up catching maybe 10 or 12 fish there. But I caught a 4.5 there, which bumped me up.
It was gold.
Which is a big fish for a wheeler, or at least for me it was. But I ended up getting to that like 12.5, maybe 13 pounds after an hour and a half of fishing. So in my head, I'm like, okay, sweet. Like the nerves are calmed. I made the cut. Like everything's gonna be okay. Right. And probably an hour and a half into it, maybe 2 hours into it, that's when Jay came down. He came down, and I forget what you said. You had 1 fish at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, they haven't bit in a little while, but like you should be able to muster up something still. So he fished around. I think you ended up catching 2 right there.
I think I caught 2. One was a pretty small guy, and then the other one was like a 2-pounder. So anyways, yeah.
Yeah, he caught a couple, or so I guess at the time he got up to 3 fish, and I felt comfortable that I was going to make the cut. So I was like, I'm going to do the same thing I did yesterday. I'm going to go to that school that I found with John Garrett or a few other anglers that found that other school. I go there and I think I made I caught a 3-pounder. So now I'm at like 13 and a half, or almost the same weight that I had the day before. And so I was super happy. I was content. And I'm like, I'm going to idle around for a while. So I idle around for probably like 40, 45 minutes and didn't find anything. I was just looking for something fresh, something for day 3. Nothing, like fish some other stuff. And now we're getting closer to like maybe 11 o'clock or so. And it was one of those hot days, no wind. You could just tell like things are just tough. Things aren't going right. And so it's kind of funny. I'll bring the story up to a certain point and then I'll let Jay take it away. So it's 11:30 or so. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to run to somewhere new. I'm going to either like go closer to takeoff, or I have no idea what I'm going to do. I've been idling for 40 minutes. I haven't seen anything. So I just get up on plane. And I literally have no idea where I'm going to run. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go down towards the lower end of the lake. I don't know if I'm going to go up the lake towards closer to takeoff or the Decatur Flats. I have no idea. But somehow I ended up turning left and going closer to the Decatur Flats area. And I'm running down the main river channel, going like 30, 40 miles an hour, just hanging out, like just looking around, like, what should I do? And I look over and I'm like, oh, there's Jay. And it's on the place or he was around the place where he said that school fired late in the day on day 1. And at this point, I haven't seen Jay in probably like an hour and a half. Like last I heard, he had 3 fish. So I see him, I go over there, and as soon as I
you gotta back up here, because you seen me, and then I gave you the get the hell over here, like it's going down.
Well, before you get there, hold on. I gotta pull you both back, because you were fishing in no man's land, right?
Yeah, we gotta talk about
and you went up into no man's land, just depending on how you look at it, right? So you were, what were you doing, and then where did you end up finding them?
So this is what happened. So caught the 2 fish off Alex's spot, went and ran some shallow bank stuff, nothing. Lost like a 2-pounder. I was pretty like stressed out and distraught because I wasn't catching anything. I had 3 fish. It was 11 o'clock. Went back to the school that I somehow caught him on late in the day on day number 1. Wasn't catching anything again. And all of a sudden, like just out of the corner of my ear, the corner of my eye, I hear like a koosh, koosh, like
the sound
you want to hear.
Yeah.
But you're on Wheeler, so you have to take that for granted. Like there's a lot of activity going on Wheeler, like between the catfish and the whatever the heck else jumps out there. Like there's something that comes up every 5 minutes on Wheeler.
Right.
And I'm like, and it was a ways away.
You know the sound. Like
you do. Right.
It's like you can't be 100%, but you can say like that sounded a lot more like a bass eating than
100%.
So,
and I look back at my Marshall and I was just like, I'm pretty sure those were bass. Like I'm almost 99% sure those were bass. So anyways, I fished for a little while longer with nothing. And I'm like, screw it. And this is like 150 yards from me. I'm like, put the troller on high, and I'm just gonna aim right where I heard them fish. Like, and there was only like 2 that came up. There wasn't like a big school of fish that came up. I'm going. Finally, get right. I got a shaky head in my hand at the time. I get right about to where I heard these fish blow up, and I'm looking on live scope, and I'm like, my God, like there is like 100 fish in front of my trolling motor right now. Like, I don't know what they are. I haven't casted yet. Like, gosh, dang. I just flicked the drop shot. I figured they're drum or white bass or something. Flick the drop shot out. The thing doesn't even make it to the bottom in 6 feet of water. And my line's swimming off. I go and set the hook. It was like a 2.5 pounder, and I swung it in. And as I'm swinging this fish in, like 3 or 4, like 3 to 4 pounders are trying to get the shaky head out of this 2.5 pounder's mouth. And I'm like, this is the biggest school of bass I've ever seen in my life. There had to have been 100 to 150 largemouth in front of my trolling motor. Like, I don't know. It was,
gosh.
So I turn around, obviously I'm freaking out, and pick up a big worm. You could have picked up probably about anything at the time. Pick up a big worm. And I mean, it was every single cast. Like, you couldn't do anything wrong. They're hitting it on the fall. I had around like 16 or 17 pounds in 4 or 5 casts.
But as this is happening, as this is happening, Redwine's rolling down the river channel, looking around, going 30 miles an hour. And then I'm like, oh, there's Jay. Last I heard he had 3 fish for 4 pounds or whatever. So I'm gonna go check on him. I get off plane, and as I'm getting off plane, he's chucking a fish back. So I'm like, okay, like he must got his limit. And he's like, he's giving me this, get over here. And he's like, so I put the trolling motor down, I mosey on over, and he's like, I just caught 3 in a row. Like, they're firing right here. And then we sat there for a good 30, 40 minutes, and then what felt like every cast or every other cast, something was biting our bait.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was like your 3rd cast, you caught a 460, and then like your 10th cast after that, you caught a 380, and like Buddy was up to like 19 3/4, almost 20 pounds. I'm like, all right, you're done. Like, you are done.
Cut him off.
Sit down. Like, you are done fishing. Like, I'm at 18. Like, there's no way you're gonna be able to like call much more. Like, we still got 2 days of the Derby left.
So did it hold up? Did the spot continue to hold up? Did they keep firing on day 3, 4? How did it? Because obviously on day 2, it sounds like you guys seined them pretty good. You know, Alex was just laying it to him, and you had to cut him off. So how did it go from there?
Looking back at it, obviously we caught them really good on the 2nd day, especially for that day. I think we had 2 of the biggest bags of the day. And we go back to the 3rd day. Obviously, we're jacked up. They're going to be there, whatever. They're going to be firing. They're going to be blowing up everywhere like they were the day before.
High fives that take off on the way out.
Right. Exactly, pretty much. And we roll up there, and it was kind of like crickets.
We didn't catch one our first cast, which we weren't like expecting to, but we had our hopes very high.
They were pretty high. Anyways, so we meander around for a while, and I did end up finding some remnants of what was there. A pretty decent school of fish. I'd say it was like 15 to 20 of them. And I ended up catching my limit for like 13 or 14 pounds in the first hour of the day, which was, it was very good for a Wheeler at that time. And unfortunately, Alex couldn't hardly get bit off the spot, which I don't know. It was just a weird deal where like it wasn't like we were scoping the fish. So it wasn't like you could just throw at one and catch it. You kind of had to just, it was grass fishing essentially.
Yeah,
so
you had to fish for them.
Yeah, right. You had to fish for them. And, if you happen to make the right cast, you made the right cast and you got bit. And I made 5 of the right casts right away. And, Alex apparently didn't make the right cast because it wasn't, what'd you have? I ended up coming out of there with 1 fish.
I think 1 fish. I stayed there.
Do you think that, and I don't know if this still goes on, but it's occurred to me that it has in the past. Do you think your school could have gotten beat around a little bit after you guys were checked in for the day?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
And
but
when we did
talk about
on day 2, that was Friday, and day 3 when it got tougher, that was on Saturday. And we're not the most experienced like TVA fishermen, but apparently they pull current more during the week than the weekend. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, or if it was just the conditions, or if it was just the needle in the haystack and everything was going down the 2nd day. But the 3rd day, I think in the morning, I spent like the first hour and a half there, and I think I caught like 1 or 2 keepers. But Jay already has called like once or twice, so things were kind of happening for him. And I was like, I got to switch up for a second. Like, I can't sit here and like watch Jay catch some and me just kind of struggling a little bit. So I run to my starting spot where I started the last 2 mornings, thinking like, okay, I'm going to catch a couple keepers here. And I don't know. And in that spot, I only ended up catching 1 off of it. I don't know if things just fizzled out, if I caught them all, if it was just the day, the condition. I don't know. It kind of threw me for a curve, but I ended up coming back probably midday.
Was that a grass hole? Was that a grass spot?
No, it wasn't. It was just a kind of a subtle hump that I think just had really hard bottom to it. It just had really good bottom.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
So I ended up coming back to where it all went down on day 2, and I just stuck it out there the rest of the day. And what felt like eternity, I just dragged the shaky head around for 3 hours or like 5 hours and caught
but you
16
caught him.
pounds. Yeah, somehow I mustered up 16 pounds, and then Jay had like
4 or something.
Yeah, and then Jay had 16 3/4 off of there. So, but it was not.
It worked out. I mean,
it worked out.
It still worked out.
It got you both into
the top 10.
Into the top 10 into day 4. Ultimately, Cliff Prince, got it done in pretty handily fashion. And speaking of that, I didn't say this at the beginning of the show, but shout out to Cliff Prince. It's awesome to see. It was awesome to see him win. Man, that guy's he's been out grinding on the trail for quite a long time, and it's really cool to see that happen to him. And but no, I mean it from the way that you guys had to handle your practice and kind of deal with adverse fishing conditions. You got to be pleased with where you end up. I mean, anytime you crack a top 10, it feels good, obviously, but there's got to be something that makes it feel even a little bit better when you had some obstacles you had to overcome. It didn't just fire and happen quick for you every single day. Like you guys had to figure some things out and get through some slow times in the day every day to make that thing all work together. So that's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, if we talk about it all the time, it feels good to take a top 10 on the place you least expect it. On a place, right? A place you show up to, you've never been before, you have a terrible practice.
Right. Because to you, grass is no man's land.
Yeah, right. I hate fishing grass. I hate doing that whole just like vastly going across the 3-mile flat of grass. Like, how do you even look at this? Like, what? Like, what am I even supposed to be doing right now with my hands?
Justin, how do you look at that? How do you handle that?
How do you even do that?
Like largemouth, like that's yucky. Like I don't like those largemouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, that's why I said at the beginning of the show, man. It's like from an outsider's looking in, it's like just kind of knowing, like, ooh, this one's going to be a little grimy. It's
100%.
It's hot down there. Humidity was probably like 100% every day. No wind. Gnats aren't even surviving. They're just dying.
It's nice to have one of those tournaments a year where you're like, man, that was cool to take a top 10 out of a place we least expected it.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I wanted to ask you guys a couple things, just about your, you guys work together and it's working well for you. How did you guys get linked up when you both qualified for the elites? Like what was it that made you think this would be a good partnership or a good option? Because for the second segment of today's show, we're going to have a couple of young anglers that are coming on that are fishing together as a team. But you guys are kind of working together as a team in some aspects. So how did you find each other? How did this beautiful relationship unfold?
Well, I didn't even know this goon at the time, but I had to. I went on
So I qualified. We can talk about which division. So I qualified through the Northern Division. This was the year before they switched to 09. I qualified through the Northern Division. Jay qualified through the Central Division. So we never really crossed paths or didn't know each other at all. But right after we both qualified, we were on a podcast, not together, but just the same podcast, a week or two apart.
BTL.
Yeah. And
so Matt was the matchmaker.
Pretty much, honestly.
Kind of. I think it was right after the podcast. I went on Instagram and I was like, because I had watched the podcast, I was like, oh, this kid's the same age as me or whatever. I was like, he looks kind of cool. I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna message him and ask him if he's rooming with anybody. I figured he probably had his, clique or something. He was probably rooming with someone else or whatever. I was just by myself. So I was like, hey, what's up, man? Blah, blah, blah. know you're 22 too or whatever. Like, you want to like travel together or something. He's like, I can't remember what you said. You could probably pull it up.
Yeah,
I gotta
like
pull
that.
this.
Where it was just like good job on Bass Talk Live the other week. Like I didn't know we were the same age. Like where are you from or something.
Nice.
Yeah, so like when we showed up at St. John's for my first tournament ever, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this kid or not.
Yeah.
Like,
well, hey, it's obviously ended up working out for the both of you. All right, I got a few more just rapid fires I'm gonna hit with you guys. Jay, why do you have the worst walk-up song? And Alex, why do you have the best walk-up song?
Come on, the polkas are a classic. You cannot tell me that pulling up to the polkas in a Bassmaster Elite Series event is not like something to be proud of.
Hey, I'm not saying. Well, I didn't write out these questions. I'm just the one reading them. But I mean, tell me why. Why do you feel like the polka is that's Jay Przekurat? He's a polka man. Why?
I feel like it would be a lot better in the morning, like if we had like a morning takeoff and the polkas were playing, right? Because it's always in the morning, Sunday mornings. So in the afternoon, it probably does get a little bit of hate because it doesn't get people as hyped up, for the weigh-in when you're coming out. Yeah. But I don't know. It's just growing up with it. Sunday mornings, polkas, driving to the boat ramp. I mean, it's just a Wisconsin thing. I hear you. I can't explain it.
Yeah, way to the boat ramp, cheese curds.
Yeah, right. Just Wisconsin. Just my grandpa was in a polka band. It's
well, Alex, you have a walk-up song that describes you perfectly. I'm assuming that's why you chose it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not much of like a rap or hip hop guy, and when I first qualified, I was like, what song should I choose? And I was like, I could try to find a country song, but that just seemed kind of lame, or like that's what like trying to find a song that no one else would use. And then I was like, well, heck, like my last name's Redwine. Like this will be my rookie year. Like I got to find something that'll maybe like stick with people. So I picked Red Wine by UB40.
There you go.
Oh, here we go. I found our first communication on text.
All right, let's hear it. I need to know. I need to know how Jay slid into the DMs.
I said, hey man, you traveling with anyone for the elites next year? ? Alex says, negative. What about you? ? Heard your BTL today. Didn't know that you were 22 as well. I said, yeah, saw yours too. Crazy. Haha. I don't have anyone. Was thinking maybe you wanted to try and travel together. We're both kind of in the north-ish. Let me know what you think. He said, I'm totally up for that. Shoot me a text.
There you go.
There it is.
That's how it all unfolded. And all right, I got one last rapid fire for you guys here. Top breakfast sandwich so far that we found this season.
Oh gosh, this is tough. Put me on the spot here because I'm pretty particular about this.
Yeah, that's why we asked this question, Jay.
Yeah, I know.
All right, well, you think on that. Alex, do you have a top breakfast sandwich?
I don't eat breakfast. I haven't eaten breakfast in like months. I'm dead serious.
Okay. Alex Redwine hasn't eten breakfast in months.
All right, top one.
How many times did you send a Snapchat during this past week's Elite Series event, Alex? During competition.
When Jay told me to stop fishing, I was like retying some baits, and Jay's like hooking up like he's hooking up continuously. So I was like, I'm just gonna take a video of this. So I took a Snapchat of him just reeling it in, and yeah, I just saved it for the memories though, because I took a video and I just said like Jay said I had to stop fishing, and it's like a video of me sitting there while he's just catching them.
Sit down. You're done fishing.
Wow, it was just getting ridiculous. Like, you're just catching all the big ones.
That is phenomenal. Well, guys, what about the season outlook? You got a few left here. How are you feeling? What are you looking forward to most? Are you just ready to get the heck out of Alabama? What are we thinking?
It was kind of funny. Right before Wheeler Lake, or the last few weeks, we've just been joking like, hey, like we got 2 more events that we gotta pull something out of our ass, and then we can go have some fun.
Pretty much.
So far we're halfway through that point. We got 1 more at Smith. So
yeah,
I mean, after Smith, the rest of the season should be fun. Me and Jay are also doing the Northern Open, so we have St. Clair, La Crosse, and then Leech Lake up north. So it's like after this, it's going to be all smiles the rest of the year.
Oh yeah, that is awesome. Well, boys, get through this next event at Smith Lake. Stay safe out there. Don't get launched out of your boat. I heard the wakeboard boats out there can get pretty ridiculous. So, good luck.
Is it going to be the 4th of July or something?
You're going to be there on the cusp of the 4th of July. They're going to be in the wake boats are going to be in training camp. So,
what are those things? Is it the beads? Don't forget your beads, Jay.
The what?
Beads like Mardi Gras beads?
Yeah.
If you're talking about Mardi Gras beads, we might have to take a trip down there. But anyway, guys, good luck for the rest of your season. Good luck up there in the North Country catching those smallmouth. And thanks for coming on, guys. It was fun talking.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome. Well, good luck the rest of the way, guys. We are going to be changing gears here, heading over to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to be coming back with the Dean, with Max, and with Jake, fresh off of a tournament win up at Swartzwood Lake, which qualified them for the high school national championship. So stay tuned. We will be right back talking about high school bass fishing.
Welcome to Minnow King. How can I help you?
Everything looks good. I'm friggin' starving, man. Been spawning all morning.
Ugh, TMI, bro. What do you want?
I'll take a Crush City freeloader and gizzard shad.
Anything to drink?
Water.
Pull ahead, please. Welcome to Minnow King.
We're gonna have what he's having. Yeah, throw me in a Ned BLT, too.
Pull ahead, please.
Calm down. Quit feeding him so much.
Hey, man, I'm trying to, man.
If you overfeed him, he's gonna hide under a log.
Right here, Aquaview, mandatory equipment in my boat. I say it all the time. The smallmouths hide in the cracks in the rocks, and just saw a little bit of the same kind of rock with the cracks in it, and I realized that I had to put a bait down there. You wouldn't, idle over them and see them on your screen. You had to put a bait down there and suck them out of the rock. So, Aquaview, big assist on this one.
And outdoors Bassmaster Classic champion, Jeff Guffey.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina. From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Wormman Series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
All right, welcome back to Bass University Live. Guys, it's not too late. If you are watching out there on the socials, you still have time. You can like and share the feed. And if you're watching on the Bass University platform, stay tuned. We're going to be giving away a grand prize as well as the like and share prize. So we'll have a trivia question coming at you here real soon. But now, with no further ado, we're going to bring on the champs from the New Jersey high school bass fishing circuit, Jake, Max, and Pete. Welcome to the show, boys. How we feeling? Yeah.
Feeling good. These boys got a win, and they're going to the national championship. I'm so proud of them. I got a front row seat to watch them do it. And guys, did you? I don't know if you listened to the interview of Jay, where he was on the biggest school of fish he's ever seen. Our tournament was nothing like that, was it?
Yeah, that's for sure. It was very far and few in between. That's definitely a struggle out there, that's for sure.
It was a struggle, but you guys battled through, man. You did really, really good. Max, this is your second national championship in a row, right? You qualified through the youth division last year. Now you're in the high school division.
Well, it's actually my third, because the first year that I went into the tournament trail, I ended up getting second in the state, which also qualified me in. So I'm excited. It's a different lake. It's pretty interesting that it's 3 different lakes. So kind of fell in the time where it's gone on 3 different lakes, which usually it stays on one. So I'm pretty excited to go out and fish new water, especially a lake as big as Chickamauga. It's a pretty good fishery from what I've heard.
Hey, Max, can you sit a little closer to your camera just so we get a bit better audio from you?
Yep.
We heard you, but yeah, we'll just hear you a little bit more clear. But that's awesome. So you're going down to Lake Chickamauga. Is that the same location that you fished last year, or is that different?
No, so Hartwell was last year's tournament, that was another pretty rough tournament, but we had the winning bite. We just, unfortunately, the fish where we were getting them kept getting us wrapped up, and we did lose the winning fish quite a few times, which was a struggle. But
we experienced a little bit of that in this recent tournament, Riz, and that's part of tournament fishing. I did it too down at the MLF. You heard me whine about my fish losses on day one down there, but I was. I was really impressed with how the boys overcame that obstacle, because there were a few missed fish. They won by 0.02 of a pound, which is a couple drops of water. But the missed fish would have put them well in the lead. But it was impressive how you guys overcame that. I know you guys working together as a team. Jake, how did you guys do that? How did you guys keep your head together when it seemed like sometimes the wheels were falling off?
I don't even know. I mean, I kind of just I tried. You got to have that mindset. You got to be like, come on now, we lost fish. We're out of the game right now. Let's keep trying. I mean, it wasn't the best though. I mean, after losing fish after fish after fish, it's like, oh my God, it's so rating, and the sun's beating down for 5 seconds, and then the wind will blow every which way. Shift it. Gotta just keep going. Drive through.
Yeah, that's true. So I was gonna say another way I think that was really important was kind of just keeping that mindset that there's always that next bite, there's always that next fish, kind of keeping in mind. We've had shots, even though we've lost them, that there's most likely we're going to get a next chance at a fish, and we need to capitalize on that next bite. I think that was really important for kind of keeping my head in the game there. And, obviously I could tell Jake did the same because we both worked pretty well there.
That was awesome. I mean, you had a bad. I've had this happen to me before, and I know if you guys listen and have probably experienced it too. Where Max, you caught the biggest fish of the day, and what was it 2 casts later? You got hung up in some kind of fish trap or something.
Not even. So basically, where I was catching that fish, there was a big structure, and I saw the fish that I caught, and then right away as I landed that fish, I looked on the sonar once I got my line back, and I saw an even bigger fish, and I decided to try to reel in my cast once I spotted him, and then it ended up catching on that structure, so I never got to get a cast back at him, and about 1 cast later, I lost the bait, and unfortunately we only had one of those, so we ended up having to completely switch that pattern once that one was gone.
Did you only have – I mean, I may have gotten a little recap from Pete on the day. Was there only one in the boat, or what happened there?
Would you like of the bait that I was using?
The jig, yeah.
Yeah, so it was really, it just came down to the color and the size of the
Gotcha.
jig. So it was a black, blue, and purple, and we only had one of those. I ended up buying it the day before at one of the stores down the road. And
Tell me a
I
little
thought
bit
it looked
more
cool.
about that jig, man. What is it a Arky style ball head? What are we working
So
with?
it was like a grass jig style. It was the Beast Coast Low Magnum, and I ended up trimming the skirt very small on it so that it was very tight to the ball, but it would also flare out well. And it was 3/8 ounce because I wanted that fall to kind of draw, because that was a pattern I found last year. All my fish bit on the jig on the fall. I had none of them bite it actually working the bait. They all bit it on the fall down, because that lake is a deep grass lake. So I wanted to make sure I had that style in the boat just in case that pattern was to repeat this year, even though we hadn't seen it in practice. And that's exactly what ended up happening for that one fish. Unfortunately, it was only that one fish that came that way, but it was a very obviously important fish to that whole effort there.
Heck yeah! I mean, you know how demoralizing that you finally get a trigger that's working, and like immediately that bait gets hung up and it's gone. And I've been in that situation. I think we've all been in that. But you did a really nice job, Max. You know, we flipped open my jig boxes and we were like rummaging through trying to find something that was similar. You know.
Yeah. True.
Yep. We went through every jig I had, but but it was super cool, Riz, because I was looking at, I had Mega Live because I'm sitting in the cockpit while these guys are working, and I'm on network, so I was able to watch the screen that Max was seeing on Mega Live, and I could hear him talk through it like, oh, there's two, and he throws in, and he's like, he's got it. Next thing you know, he's bowed up, and the Puma's going for the net. And next thing we know, we got a 4-pounder in the boat called Mega Live. I got to see the whole thing front and center. So that was really cool. That was one of my favorite moments of the day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was super cool. What were your favorite moments of the day, guys? Let's start with you, Jake.
Man, that's a hard pick. I mean, I guess the start, man. I always loved the start of the tournament. Like, just the second we're launching the boat, getting everyone in the water, just talking to people. It's always just fun to just relax for a minute, get your focus, get calm, get ready. I mean, that was awesome. And I guess another one was probably when I just kind of caught a fish in no man's land. Like, I kind of just we were zooming, we were just trying to fish docks, we were running real fast, we were just trying to do whatever, and I just kind of cast it out randomly and got a little like 1-pounder on. And I mean,
hey,
keeper, I mean, anything counts. Awesome.
Right. Keepers are valuable, especially that's like a bonus fish. You know what I mean? You're kind of going in between your areas, and you can't catch a fish if your bait's not in the water. That's about the only fact in fishing is that if your bait's not in the water, you will not catch a bass in most circumstances unless they jump into your boat, which is
that was a great catch, Jake. Props to you for doing that, because we were the boat was zooming, and you're smartly taking advantage of that opportunity and got a keeper, and we needed it. We needed it in the boat. How about you, Max? What was your favorite part?
Honestly, I was probably going to say those two there. The first catch on the Mega Live, that was really cool watching them go down to it. And that's one thing I've always kind of tried to been learning recently was fishing with active, like live sonar. And that was pretty cool to watch him go down there when I spotted him the whole way through, watched him go down and eat it. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then obviously I was going to say Jake's fish there when we were going by, because that just really felt like a bonus fish. And honestly, for me, that kind of brought up the morale a little bit, because it was like, even when we weren't anticipating 100% of a fish catch, we still got that fish to put us in there before we got to the main spot. So I had a lot higher hopes going into the next spot, which felt really good for us. That was pretty great.
That was awesome. That was fun. It's so much fun, when you're making plays and fish are coming in the boat. And I'm rooting for you guys, and it's super cool when one of the most crazy times was when we were at the scale. Riz, it was just insane. Like the tournament was tough, guys. 8.51 pounds was leading, and you guys weighed in 8.52, won by 100th of a pound.
Bag in the water one more time before weighing it, Pete, or
that there was no getting away with that, man. Frank, the tournament director, hats off to Frank. He does a great job with the kids, and man, he was wringing that bag out. He was that's a little trick we do. We dip that bag right in, just like Justin said. We dip it in, try to get a few extra ounces.
Don't let any part of it get dry.
Yep. But heck, they won the previous tournament with a crazy 20-pound stringer, right, and they won by like 8 pounds on their last tournament at Cranberry. So 8 pounds or 100th of a pound, the result is the same. So you guys are on quite a roll, and it's really fun to watch. What's the funnest part? What's the funnest part about fishing with Max, Jake?
I mean, okay, here's my favorite. So it allows me to try to use like other baits because I know Max is going to catch a fish no matter what I do. So I'm able to just go with, okay, let me throw a glide bait. Okay, let me just try out this random jig. Let me try this crazy colored crankbait because I know somehow, some way Max is going to put a fish in the boat, and it's like legendary because when we need a fish, like that 4-pounder, when we need a big fish, Max gets that fish in the boat.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's a really, really, like there's fishermen, like we all have fishing brains, right? And some people have the ability to allow themselves to fish and think freely, right? Trying new baits, trying new colors, trying new things, right? Some people don't have that. Like, so for example, when Justin and I fish, Justin will throw a mag draft for 2 hours until he catches one and watch me catch 20 on a Rico. But he's going to keep throwing that mag draft until he learns it. I'll pick that mag draft up and put it back down after 2 casts because that's the way my brain is wired, right? So that's a really good observation, Jake, and a really good, you're allowing yourself to grow as an angler through that process of you're going to become really, really versatile if you continue to go down that road. So that's cool.
That is cool. It's a great observation, and it's cool that you're working together really well as a team, and that's apparent in what you just said. What about you, Max? What do you like about fishing with Jake?
So I'd say one of my main things is it's allowed me. I feel like I'm able to fish to kind of the best of what I could do with Jake. Just for one of the main reasons is I'm always, no matter where we fish, he's very adaptive to the patterns that we're running. So let's say we're going shallow. Jake is not going to be demoralized by the fact we're going shallow or changing up a pattern. He adapts very quickly. There's always a very high chance I feel that we're going to put fish in the boat, the both of us. And, I really feel like he's always able to adapt to what we're doing. If there's a bite going on and I feel like, hey, I'm going to throw this bait, Jake throw that bait, and that would be a good pattern. We are always able to do that. And I think that's really important when you feel like there's 2 baits you want to throw. And I have very high belief that Jake is going to put fish in the boat with that pattern being run by the 2 of us. So I think that's one of my favorite things about that. I feel like we can really fish to the best of what we could do while doing that. So I think that's really important to obviously winning the tournaments, and that's showing as of now.
Yeah, you guys are doing great. That's great. What great feedback on each other. And I want to ask, because I'm going to this for the first time too. I'm thrilled to be with you guys. You guys get along great. You battle hard, and you're doing so well. And we're going to go to this big tournament. Now, I have fished big tournaments, but never with this many boats. Like we've had, I fished some 200 boat tournaments. What are we expecting? 300 to 500 boats in this tournament? Max, was the tournament that big last year when you fished?
Last year, I believe it was around 280 to 260. That's somewhere where it was around.
Good
And
Lord.
I remember the tournament director, Glenn, he only said they plan to put more. So I think we're going to be expecting around probably 300 to 400 boats, from what I'd imagine.
It's crazy.
Unreal.
What's the advice? Like, you've experienced this. You guys had great success. You had a few miscues that kept you out of the winner's circle last year, but you battled well with a giant field like that. What was that like? Was there like boats in every point around every corner?
Yeah, so that was definitely a big thing. There wasn't much privacy out on the water, and you kind of got to block out other people because there are people watching you. I'll say, especially when I was fishing with Mike last year, there's a lot of people that recognize that boat. We had eyes on us pretty much 24/7. If we caught a fish, we would see someone using that bait pretty much immediately after. So it's definitely something. There's not much privacy on that lake. Chickamauga is not a ton bigger than Hartwell. Hartwell had more coves, so that was just about the only difference. And you know, that is a big factor. People are going to see what you're doing, so your spots can get taken later on in the tournament. Nothing's for sure, so it's always important to have, I guess, a bunch of backup plans. I know usually we'd always try to keep an A, B, and C plan, and like mine, just in case if somebody was there, or even just these little spots that we pick up on the way that are kind of a stop going to a next big pattern that you maybe spend 30 to an hour on, depending on how that goes for you.
Yeah, it's something that I'm thinking about for you guys, and we'll have to keep talking about it and working on it because, yeah, it's gonna be like crazy. Like, all right, it's not happening here. Let's run down the lake and fish. I don't know, another creek, and you know that there's going to be 50 boats in that creek too.
Sure, sure. And this tournament's in August, is that right?
1st, 2nd, 3rd of August.
1st, 2nd, 3rd of August. Well, you know, the one thing that I'll give as a piece of advice to both of you young men is that it's going to be hot. It's going to be really hot. It's going to be really hot. And so there's two ways that you can look at that, right? You can look at it of, oh, dang, we're going to be sweating the whole time. Better bring the Gold Bond, the Dude Wipes, whatever, you know. The other thing is that every one of your competitors, it's going to be really, really, really hot, right? So you can take that and know that if you go into it with the right mindset, you're prepared physically, nutritionally, mentally, you're going to give yourself a percentage above the rest of the field right off the giddy, right from Jump Street. You can control some of your variables that maybe other people aren't controlling. And not every variable in tournament fishing happens on the water. A lot of that stuff can happen off the water as well. And if you take that approach, that knowing it's going to be grimy, but you got to stay in it, you got to stay mentally tough. And from the time that you make that first cast in the morning, if you can keep the same focus to the last cast of the day, and you care as much about the last cast of the day as you did the first cast of the day, you're going to have a notable advantage on your field.
That's great advice, Jake. Me and you melt in the heat. We know that.
Terrible, man. The water, best friend. I'm gonna be in that water every 5 seconds, man.
You might need to get a buzz cut before this one, Jake. Both of you might need to shave off some hair. You know, keep yourself a little cooler. Just word of advice.
Is that going to happen? Are we going into this tournament with mohawks? What are we doing?
Man. Straight up buzz cut before the chick, man.
Nah, it's good. Just like plenty of cold water. You know, keep yourselves hydrated. Keep yourselves, you know, fed. You'll be all right.
This is a great question from Dougie Fries, and I know the answer to one of the guys. Well, I think I know both, but I'd like them to both talk about it. Max, how did you get into fishing, and who taught you?
Honestly, I'd say my dad. I've been doing it ever since I was 2. I'm fortunate enough to live on the lake. That's been a big factor. So Usually, instead of being when I was younger on my iPad, I was always down at the dock trying to catch the biggest bass I could find. And that's always just how it's been. It's never really changed. It never wore off on me. It's always kind of mystery of what you're going to get next. It's never that never really wore off for me. And that's kind of, I think, the main reason I'm still here now. And trying different things. I always loved trying things different when it came to fishing. Like a lot of the patterns I run now are usually stuff that people wouldn't throw. Kind of ever since I can remember. Whenever somebody would tell me to cast somewhere and throw something, I'd throw something else and cast a different place, and I'd still catch a fish every time. So I think that was a big factor. A lot of people didn't quite understand it, but it always seemed to work. So I think that was a big factor in helping me do things a little differently, but it still ended up producing a lot for me, which made it fun. And I was always able to catch a lot of good fish from it, trying stuff that kind of thinking out of the box a little bit.
That's great. That's fantastic. And I see it in your fishing. And shout out to Jeremy Hugan, Max's dad, who took him fishing at 2 years old. So many of us were fortunate enough. My dad took me when I was just a kid too. And I bought Jake his first fishing rod, which was a SpongeBob push button rod on his first Christmas. So I've been taking you fishing for a long time, Jake.
I got some legendary moments with that rod. I remember we were at and I had a fish on a bass, like a 3-pounder, and I lost my rod and it went in the water, and you had a jig on and you cast it out, caught the rod, then reeled it in, then caught the fish. That was awesome, dude.
That's the dean.
That's
man.
awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah, the SpongeBob, and I'm thrilled, Jake, because we've been fishing for a long time, and last year you just kind of light switch went off, and you started getting into it, and now you're a fiend, man. You're fishing every day.
100%. I love it now. It's like, it was so weird because if I was on the boat for more than 5 minutes and we weren't hitting waves or like doing something fun or cool or like taking a long boat ride, I did not want to be there. But like now it's like I don't want to do that, and I strictly want to pick up my rod and catch a bass, man. It's just the best feeling in the world. I'm telling you, there's nothing better than that adrenaline and rush, setting the hook into a 5-pounder, man.
0 to 10, like that. 0 to 100, rather, like that.
That's awesome. Well, I hope we're able to catch a few 5-pounders down there at Chickamauga. I think they have 10-pounders plus.
Definitely seen some big ones pulled out of that lake. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's notorious, man, for the double-digit bass, and we'll be challenged a little bit in August. But I'm super excited to take the kids. We're all going. It's a family affair. Jeremy and Heather Hugan are such an important part of this team, as is Shelly. And we're all working together to support the kids and doing what we can to help with everything in their fishing, whether it's calling school so they can get time off to practice or so many different things. And a special shout out to Jeremy. He does so much, man, with helping us launch the boat, to taking care of the little details that can sometimes clog the wheel, and just so awesome to have such motivated and helpful people in the circle here. So that's great. I'm can't wait to get down to Tennessee. Can't wait to see how these boys react to a body of water like this. It's kind of cool. Whereas I know the lake just a little bit. I fished a couple tournaments there. It's got milfoil grass just like the Chesapeake, but it's also got the ledge fish like you see on most Tennessee River lakes. So in August, what are we going to be doing? We're going to be in the grass. We're going to be outside fishing the deep stuff. I know Max is going to be want to be fishing in the dirt. I know that's what he's going to want to do.
I do love doing that. That's for sure.
Mix of both those things, Pete, to win. You know what I mean?
It could be a combination, right, of deep and shallow in August. I don't know. Maybe we'll be fishing cheese mats like John Cox did at Wheeler. Who knows what we're going to be doing?
Heck yeah.
Well,
Livesey won in September there, fishing under cheese mats.
And all right, we're gonna go look for some cheese mats.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hogging.
I like it. Well, guys, man, congratulations. That was a hard-fought win at the States this year, and that was quite a battle. You overcame a lot, and that's a big one. I'm looking forward to fishing. Max, we got to get you down here on the Chesapeake. We, just do a little fishing, do a little practicing, and get warmed up, spend a little bit of time together. So this team is a machine, a well-oiled machine going into the Nationals. I look forward to that. But before you go, your family's going down to the Keys. Oh my gosh, I forgot. You guys are going to go
a couple days
saltwater fishing.
Yeah, hopefully I can get myself on a big tarpon. I mean, I lost the little one at the side of the boat. They consider it a catch, but I'd like to actually grab one. I think that'd be pretty cool. They're pretty crazy fish. I had one. I went for shark, and the little bonnet heads. I was waiting in a flat, casting into a deep, kind of lagoon area, and I had a ballyhoo that I just caught on a little ultralight rod. I rigged them up on a steel leader. So I wasn't really expecting a tarpon, and I ended up hooking into about an 80-pound tarpon that fried my reel in it completely spooled my 200-yard spool in about 2 seconds, and my reel was smoking. There was actually burning. That reel ended up being almost completely ruined, but they're pretty powerful fish. They're pretty cool.
That's sad for the reel, but what an awesome thing. I hope. I look forward to seeing the pictures. Send us some pics.
Definitely. There's probably going to be a good amount of them, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, that's
excellent.
Well, boys, before you go, from one state champ to another, I would like to give a little bit of advice.
Yes.
Appreciate fishing. You guys being young, it's the most fun fishing that you'll ever do. Fishing team tournaments with your buddy at the age you guys are, and just appreciate your parents for helping you along in the journey. And good luck to you, boys.
Thank you.
Man, that's great. You were a state champ in Maryland, right, Justin?
Yep.
And what year was that?
Oh, Pete, put me on the spot.
He's still a baby, so
maybe
like
2018.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we qualified for Chickamauga too, but unfortunately wasn't able to go. So definitely appreciate the opportunity you guys have to go.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Out there, gotta get have fun. Gotta do it.
Yep. We may be putting up tarps and making our own tents or something down there, because all the other teams have already qualified, because we're up north, so we're one of the last states to qualify for the Nationals. So all those moms and dads have sucked up the VRBOs and the Airbnbs and the hotel rooms. So we're gonna have to get creative. We need some of the Bass University family to hook us up with some of their summer homes down there on Chickamauga or Nickajack.
We know a few people right down the road from there, Pete. I think we'll find you a place.
Yes, let's do that. Well, boys, congratulations again. Great job. So glad you got a chance to come on the show and hang out with us for a little while. And look forward to fishing with both you guys later on in just a few weeks.
Thank you. I do too. That's going to be fun.
Good job, boys.
Going to be a blast. All right, boys, we'll catch up with you soon. And Riz, I guess I'll catch up with you guys pretty soon too. Nice job holding down the fort. Great interview. I got to hear some of it, man. What an amazing, my gosh, to see that many fish and call your buddy over as you're putting one after the other in the boat, man. What a cool duo,
Yeah, that doesn't happen. Doesn't happen like that very often. So it's cool to hear that it did.
Yeah. Maybe one of us will find a school of fish like that up on Champlain in a couple of weeks.
Yes, I hope so. I hope that
they're going to be done spawning, boys.
I hope that is the case. We got a couple things to give away. Pete, you want to hang on with us while we give some stuff away real quick? Or do you want to break
heck yeah, I'll hang in there. I'll hang in there for a little while. I did want to, Justin, you were talking about that. The weights up at Champlain on the Tackle Warehouse tour were just off the charts, man. It was 17 pounds 17 pounds a day to make the check cut at like 45th place. Yep. And I didn't get to read any of it. That was all sight fish. That was all spawning, right? Is that did you guys?
It was from my reports. A lot of it was, but it's dying down. Like the next week or two, it's going to probably be hard to find them on beds. But yeah, it got the day 3 of that got canceled, right? So it was only 2 days.
2-day tournament.
So 21 pounds a day got you the win. Hopefully they fatten back up before we get up there.
It's crazy how tight the weights are. They're just ounces separate everybody up there, and there will be some spawning probably still going on, but it'll be the bulk of it'll be done, I imagine. And it's going to be, it's going to be a post spawn thing going on.
There were guys in the top 10 that were catching fish that weren't on beds.
That were already post.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And I heard largemouth had a presence.
Yeah, they did.
In that, which doesn't really happen that often in June. So I'm curious about that. Of course, I love to fish for largemouth up there, but you got to fish for, what can win.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a good term. Can't wait to fish with you guys. And stand by. We are under production on the Potomac River Bass University House project. Look, and we hope to have that out on social YouTube here shortly. We filmed we filmed the disasters, the positives, the negatives.
Disasters, that's for sure.
We're gonna have to mitigate some of those disasters for Champlain. Let's see if we can do that.
That's right. All right. So, grand prize question is in the chat. The question is, who slid into the DMs first, Jay or Alex, to become roommates? And Howie Range got it. Jay slid into the DMs first.
Linked it up.
While we're waiting for a like and share winner, this is our sub of the week, man. Decked out in Bass U gear with like a freaking 10-pounder.
That's good.
Yeah. Michael Richard, shout out to Michael. That is a pig. Look where he's fishing, man. That is
a beast.
That's an old swamp donkey there.
It is.
So shout out to Michael, sub of the
week.
You
can see the Spanish moss in the background. He's somewhere south.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Our like and share winner is Jeremy Reese.
Jeremy Reese,
like and share winner.
Congrats, Jeremy Reese. Well, good deal.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to catching up with you guys real soon. And nice job, Riz. Nice job holding down the fort. You too, Josh and Justin. Appreciate you guys, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the back in the studio next week.
Good stuff. We will see you next week.